We've all heard some variation of this story. A huge factory somewhere in Asia makes premium kit for A-tier brands during the day, and in the evening, the very same machines, the same fabrics, and the same quality control churn out gear under a completely different name. No one will ever officially confirm this, of course, but it does happen. So I've been on a mission to find the best cycling brands you have never heard of. And this week, that rabbit hole has led me to MBO Cycling. I'd never heard of them either, but one look at their website tells you two things. One, they got a surprisingly broad range, and number two, they clearly have access to top-tier materials and construction. So right out of the gate, that is the good news. The materials and build quality are impressive. Across the pieces I've tested, I'll show on the screen, you get elastic interface chamois on the bibs, nylon spandex blends with a great hand feel, clean stitching, no loose threads, no sloppy taping or misaligned panels, and Polartec fabrics, including Alpha Direct on some of the mid layers. That last one is a nice find, also very interesting piece of kit for hiking. In short, nothing about these pieces feels budget. We've tested a fair bit of the range, and there was zero sloppy finishing, no evidence of shortcuts whatsoever. The bibs have nice white shoulder straps, reflective detailing, and of course, most importantly, a good chamois that stays in place. I've tested elastic interface chamois before. Great experience with them so far. I've mostly used their endurance style chamois before. Those are a bit thicker. MBO mostly uses the race style, slightly thinner, quicker to dry. I guess for long days in the saddle, things like bike packing, I would maybe have liked an endurance option, but honestly, these are more than okay for 95% of rides. I spend a lot of time in the T380 tights. Those are super warm, obviously built for real winter riding. And I actually don't know if this year's winter has been cold enough for me to test them to the limits, but they do inspire a lot of confidence. The front uses a dense, wind-resistant fabric with a water-repellent coating, a bit stiffer to put on, but once you're moving, the insulation and wind protection are indeed excellent. And there's a soft and breathable back to dissipate heat and sweat when you're working hard. We tested multiple jackets as well. I probably spent most time in this EXB 760. Took me down to freezing temperatures combined with a long sleeve jersey. Again, no notes on build quality. I'm in between sizes, so it's definitely a race fit for me, but no issues once I'm on the bike. This one has a chest pocket, which I thought was a great idea for commuting because I'm usually wearing a backpack, so the traditional rear pockets are basically useless. And so having a front pocket for gels or keys is great. Placement could be a bit better though, because I find this one's a bit hard to reach into. MBO's actual clothing design is on point mostly. Nice color palette, some classy minimalist pieces, and a few louder options if you want to stand out. The branding is occasionally a bit messy in my opinion, with logos jumping around from piece to piece, different fonts, different icon styles, moving being open, bit of a weird tagline, and occasionally a bit too much inspiration from other brands. For a label positioning itself as premium, I do feel that a more cohesive brand identity would be a great thing. If you compare it to, for example, RTT Cycling, that's another brand I came across in my search. They have a smaller lineup than MBO, but very consistent. Pastel colors, one font, one mascot, one tagline. Does any of that set it apart by itself? Not really. What does that owl have to do with cycling? I don't know, but it is consistent and recognizable. It's a must if you want to stand out in a market as crowded as this one. And that is the kind of clarity that I think MBO could also benefit from. Let's talk sizing, because this is where people online are right. MBO sizing is built for the Asian market, and that means that proportions are slightly different than what you might be used to from Western brands. My impressions after trying all these out are that width is slimmish but generally accurate, while height is a bit short. Torsos, bib straps, all slightly compact, so if you're tall and slim, make sure to take a good look at that size chart. If you have a more square, compact build, you'll feel right at home. I also want to mention that Alpha Direct mid layer, pretty cool to see that in a cycling brand. If you're into ultralight hiking, you will probably know Alpha Direct because it's been a bit of hype these last few years. It is incredibly light and breathable, very warm for its weight, and it dries almost instantly. It's also weird looking and pretty delicate, but if you wear it underneath a breathable windbreaker or a soft shell, it's just really interesting as a building block for anyone looking to build the best possible clothing system to keep you warm and dry when you're going hard in cold weather. I'm still kind of figuring out myself where it fits into my hiking loadout, but it is definitely fun to experiment with, and it feels great on the skin. Pricing then. MBO's list prices are closer to a brand pricing than you might expect, but there's frequent promotions as well as a 25% discount code underneath this video, so there's no reason to ever pay full price. Delivery was surprisingly quick for me, I think just a day or two. Returns and exchanges are available within 14 days, though be aware you pay the return shipping yourself, so again, check that sizing. There's a 40% crash replacement discount. It's not unique to MBO, but it is a nice gesture. So in conclusion, I am pretty impressed on the whole. MBO is a great illustration of the fact that there are a lot of interesting cycling brands flying under the radar, brands with great manufacturing and clever use of premium materials and pricing that's pretty compelling with a discount. If you're willing to spend a bit of time with the size chart, there is absolutely some excellent value to be found here. That's it for me. Thanks for watching and see you next time.